Most trick-or-treaters want candy. She wanted something darker. I loaned her a pumpkin bucket for a few minutes. When she gave it back, it was full of fresh blood. And every Halloween since, she comes back for more. Halloween has always been one of those nights where you expect trouble, but in a harmless way. Teenagers egging houses, kids screaming from excitement, maybe a cheap jump scare from a neighbor. Nothing that keeps you awake the rest of your life. This happened 5 years ago. I lived alone, in a quiet suburban neighborhood where nothing bad really happens. The kind of place where people leave their doors unlocked without thinking twice. I wasn't into Halloween much, but I bought a big variety pack of candy anyway. Just doing my part. Around sunset, the usual flow of trick-or-treaters started showing up. Superheroes, princesses, zombies. Loud, fun, full of energy. Kids running house to house. Parents chatting on sidewalks. Normal. Nothing felt off. Not yet. By 8 p.m., things slowed down. Fewer kids. The night air colder. Streetlights flickering in that annoying dramatic way. Then it came. That knock. Not playful, not impatient. A slow, deliberate knock. Like someone rehearsing it. I opened the door expecting one last group. There was only one girl. She couldn't have been older than 11. Thin. Pale. She wore a plain white dress that looked more like an old hospital gown than a costume. Her black hair hung over her face, hiding her expression. She stood completely still, like a mannequin that someone forgot to pose. Her arms dangled at her sides. Her hands were empty. No bucket. No bag. No candy. She stared at my bowl. No words. No smile. She didn't even breathe visibly. I forced a friendly tone. "You out of candy already?" Nothing. Her head lifted slightly. Eyes barely visible under the hair. Her voice sounded dry and small. "I don't have a bucket. Can I borrow one?" I paused. It wasn't a question you expect from a kid trick-or-treating. Still, I had a couple of spare plastic pumpkin buckets left from earlier years. So I handed one to her. A bright orange jack-o'-lantern with a goofy smiling face. She took it slowly, like she'd never held anything before. Then she nodded once. Turned around. Walked down my driveway. Not toward another house. Just into the dark. I waited, thinking maybe she'd come right back. Minutes passed. Then half an hour. Then almost an hour. I tried to push her out of my mind. Maybe she found her group. Maybe she left the bucket somewhere. I decided to bring the candy inside and call it a night. Another knock. Same slow rhythm. This time, heavier. I opened the door. She was much closer to me than before. Inches away. Her hair stuck to her face now. And the pumpkin bucket was full. Not with candy. With a dark, thick liquid that dripped down her fingers. My brain wouldn't process it right at first. Blood. Still warm. Before I could say a word, she spoke. "I filled it. Just like you wanted." I froze. My lungs forgot how to work. My voice cracked trying to form a question. But she pushed the bucket into my hands with surprising strength. When I looked up to ask her what happened, she was already halfway down the sidewalk, disappearing into the shadow between streetlights. No sound of footsteps. Just silence. The moment I shut my door, the smell hit me. That copper smell you never forget. I dropped the bucket into my sink and called the police. They arrived, questioned me like I was making a sick joke on Halloween. I showed them the bucket. They tested the liquid. A detective later returned and simply said, "We can't share the results. Lock your doors tonight." He left. No explanation. I cleaned the sink for days. The stain never really came out. Halloween returned. I didn't celebrate. No decorations. No candy. Lights off. I tried to pretend it wasn't happening. I sat in the dark eating takeout and scrolling through my phone. 8:30 p.m. That same knock. Slow. Exact same rhythm. Like she remembered. I didn't move. I held my breath. The knocking continued for a minute straight, then stopped. A scraping sound replaced it, like something being dragged across my porch. Then silence. The next morning, my spare pumpkin bucket was sitting outside my door, cracked, stained, as if someone had tried to claw the smiling face off of it. Inside, a single tooth. Human. It's been 5 years now. She comes every Halloween. Same time. Same knock. I never answer. I never look. But the sounds get closer every year. Hissing whispers under the door. Something tapping at the windows. Tiny fingernails scratching the lock. I think the bucket wasn't for candy. I think she wanted a container big enough to carry something else. Something living. Someone. And I think she's waiting. For the year I make a mistake. The year I open the door again. It's almost 8:30 now. She'll be here any minute. The knocking has started. If she's not a child, then what did I invite into my life? And what happens if I finally run out of buckets? Thank you for listening. If you ever hear a slow knock on Halloween night, think twice before opening the door. Some trick-or-treaters don't want candy. Some are looking for someone. Maybe someone like you. Stay safe. Stay inside. And if someone asks to borrow a pumpkin bucket, pretend you're not home. Happy Halloween.